All right, guys. Tom Davidson, Pastime Tournaments here with Landon Hutchison on Yard Work. Today we've got the Ontario Nationals. They're a program that comes to a bunch of our stuff. They've been coming to our stuff for a number of years now. I know this past year they were in the 14, 15, 16, and 18U Nationals, advancing out of pool play in at least two of the four. Jeremy, thanks for coming on with us this morning. And why don't you fill us in kind of on the program, when you guys started and how you are where you're at now.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, first of all. So the program started in 2007. Uh, to be honest, this is my first year being the president and owner of the program. Previously, it was a gentleman, Sean Gillespie.
Yep.
So in 2007, we started. The way the program works is basically we start off in August. We have a couple weeks for training camp. It's non-mandatory for guys that want to come out, kind of get some more reps and that sort of thing, get stronger faster. Then the season officially begins in September with us. So we have fall ball. I'm sure you guys have it down there too. Fall ball season. And then to end our fall ball, we take the seniors and some of the juniors on a recruiting trip. So about like 7 to 10 day trip, seeing like NCAA schools, JUCO schools, NAIA schools. It works out in the past. It's worked out pretty good where we've had guys actually sign on the spot, and just a little bit more exposure, right, just to end the season, because we can only be on the field for so long up here. Right. And then after that, we get into strength and conditioning. And that goes all season really, but we really bear down on it right after fall ball when we kind of shut down the body, like baseball activities for a little bit, and then we keep doing that. Once January comes along, that's when we start really incorporating more baseball activity, right? So for instance, this year, actually, we had our pitchers actually going since September. So September, we have a pitching coordinator out of one of our facilities up here. And they started with all the pitchers in our program started in September with our coordinator, and they follow the program all the way until, I guess, now. And obviously taking some time off with the throwing and all that. Plyos, strength is a big thing for us. We really believe in that, and I'm sure a lot of people do, right?
Yeah.
And then going back to what I said, in January, we go baseball activities. We kind of gear up for our spring training trip, which we were supposed to go on leave March 13th. And March 12th is when we heard everything was shut down. And we're like, oh, man, it's kind of like it's like a second Christmas for some of these kids. And so we shut that down this year. But usually we go down to Orlando, Florida.
Yep.
It's the PBR spring training. And we do that. Last year we went. It was an amazing experience. We had a lot of guys sign after that too for the rest of our seniors. Some guys that don't get signed after a recruiting trip. A lot of our guys sign after that spring trip. You get some video. A lot of coaches come down to that trip to kind of watch some kids. We reach out to them. So we do that for a week. We come back, and then we kind of have to. You're going full pace, right, in March kind of thing almost, and then you come down, you kind of have to slow down a little bit, get ready for our season in May, which is the CPBL season. I'm sure you heard about the league.
Yep.
Ontario Blue Jays, Toronto Mad Sauce, Timo, Fieldhouse. I saw Fieldhouse, but Jimmy was on this a couple days ago. All good teams. It's great competition. It's honestly, that's why when we get down to your tournaments in June and July, I feel like we're prepared, because every week we're playing. It's tough. It's real tough.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of really good programs up there. What's the biggest difference you see when you guys finally get the chance to come back down to the States in June, July? What's the biggest difference between, the teams you're facing in Canada regularly and your league play versus the tournament side when you guys get down here?
That's a good question. So in our league play, literally every weekend, we play 4 games a weekend, sometimes 5 games a week. We have a midweek game on Wednesdays. So you're playing 5 games against top quality competition. It's tough. You got guys up here, starters 1 to 4 85 plus, sometimes 88 plus, right? And then guys are making plays in the field. Then when we come down to your tournaments, we feel that we feel pretty comfortable. We feel pretty good about ourselves, like especially in round robin play, before bracket play. Once we get to bracket play, we start seeing it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. Like you guys bring some really good competition up there, and it's we love it. Can't complain. Like I feel like we're really prepared. We're prepared for your tournaments, and once the ultimate goal, right, is to make it to bracket play, make it to Sunday, go as far as you can. Sometimes we run out of pitching. That's what happened to us in Louisville last year at 16U. We
Yeah.
played at the University of Louisville, and it was just tough, right? We just ran out of pitching. We didn't know what to do. So
Yeah, no, I mean that's a tough event. I know you guys you got out of pool play in the 16U National and the 18U National. You won
yeah.
your pool for the 16. You went 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's what it comes down to in those events is just how many pitchers do you have, and that's where here we've got so many programs that have now gone to their roster plus 6 POs just
Right.
setting up their lineup. It makes it more feasible to advance in those big tournaments like that. But from a play standpoint, the programs in Canada have gotten so good that do you see any kind of a quality difference between the Canadian teams and the U.S. teams?
In Canada to US, I do with some in pool play. I do feel that we're pretty strong. Like
Yeah,
we always have a shot to make it a pool play. I feel that any team in our league, when we get down there, there's a real good chance that we're going to make it a pool play. Once we get to bracket play, that's when you start seeing like the Razorbacks, the
yeah.
KBCs, Midland, and all those teams that are just wow,
They've
right?
got a lot of depth in
You
those
know what I mean? They have a lot
programs.
of depth, a lot of good guys, and but it's a good challenge for us, right? Like we don't feel like going in those games that we can't compete. Like we're gonna compete, and and sometimes we do come on top, but that's when we feel like we're right there. We feel that this league, the CPPL, I feel like we rank up there with some of those good programs up in the
Yeah.
States because we're always right there. We're playing them head to head. It's close competition and it's fun. You
Yeah.
guys do a real good job up there. So
I brought this up with Jimmy the other day in that I think most programs in the U.S. don't understand kind of that full, program feel that you guys have. It's more of a club feel as opposed to, hey, I play my high school ball with, this high school, and then I go to my travel team and go with those guys. You guys it's a program. It's a full year thing. And I think most of the teams here don't really understand that piece of it where you've got these guys 12 months out of the year. And then in that area up there, you know, we see the same programs every year and they do well, but it's not like and maybe you can clarify this. I don't know that it's as watered down, so to speak, as it is in some areas in the US where, in this city or that city, there may be 50 16-year-old teams within a 1 hour radius of each other.
there's not. You're right, 100% right. Like it's like you said, it's a club team. We start in August almost with our new crop,
Yeah.
and we go all the way until July. And we give the guys August off just to kind of spend time with their families, vacation, right? They want to go to the cottage and all that. But for instance, our program, we have guys driving 2 hours plus to our practices. And I don't think you see that in the States. I don't think guys would do that. So we really pick and choose who we recruit and who we bring to the program. If we don't, we're not going to compete. And I can say the same for a lot of these teams in this league. Like we go after guys that we might not be able to get, but we want to, and then they drive that far to be a part of our program. And it's like for instance in our area, a lot of these other teams have their own facilities, right? With us, we have 3 facilities that we have access to in a like a 2.5 hour radius. So
Hmm.
we have guys coming from like the north 2 hours away. They can come to the closest facility rather than driving, let's say, 4 hours to if we had one spot. So we try to set it up like that. It's just a better way for us to recruit, first of all. Just telling them that we have a facility here and there and that we have access to at all times. And yeah, like we do our best with recruiting, and we try to get the best possible players, just like everyone else. And I think that's why we do a real good job of competing.
Do you guys have multiple organizations that work out of your facility, or is it just your guys' program?
No, we have multiple organizations.
Okay.
We're the main organization.
Right.
Uh, so, for instance, we have 2 smaller locations and 1 big location. The big location, that's where our pitching coordinator, he's the general manager of that. Our 2 smaller locations, our strength coordinators out of there, and also our former president and 18U head coach owns the other facility. So it kind of works out for us. It's just we feel that if we can give kids more options to get to practice, to get to work out, it's easier for them. Nobody wants to drive 2 hours and a half, 2.5 hours there and back for a 2-hour practice.
Yeah, is
Like,
that out of necessity for those guys, as in the sense that they don't have another option, or is it they're willingly doing that just to be on the Nats program?
they're willing, they want to be with us. They've been with us. Some of these guys have been with us since they're 14U. Now they're on 17U. So they've been doing this for 3-4 years already, and they still got 1 year to go. So it's tough, but if you have the right mindset, a lot of these kids do. If you're willing to make that drive, they're committed. They're committed to you. They're committed to the program, and they're doing whatever it takes. Like, we give guys at home workouts. Sometimes, weather's bad here. They know what they need to do on a specific day to get their job, to get the work done. So it kind of works out like that too, where we have remote options for kids that necessarily can't make it to practice one day, but they're not just sitting at home. They know exactly what to do that day. So
Jeremy, you said that you guys work on strength and conditioning. What are some other key pieces that you guys use to help develop your players? Hitting, pitching. You said something about drive line, so plyo care. What are some of your main focuses as far as that goes?
So our small facilities, we really focus on, like I said, so our pitching coordinator takes care of everything as far as the pitchers go. Plyo care, arm care, strength. Our strength coordinator is giving every player a program to go through. We test monthly. We have these plyometrics or measurables that we test. So vertical jump, broad jump, 60s, bench, squat, deadlift. We test these every month to make sure guys are improving, right? We feel that we need to get guys faster. So getting guys stronger and faster is our main goal. We really focus on the 5-10-5, one-legged broad jumps, grip strength. We do a lot of these stuff every practice to make sure kids are prepared. Because sometimes in a small facility, you can't necessarily run a 60. You can't necessarily do all the things you need to do at a showcase, right? So every practice, we'll test exit velo off a tee. We'll test their 5-10-5s, and that sort of thing. And then when we go to our testing monthly, we'll test everything to make sure the guys are improving. If they're not, we'll have a little chat, and we'll try to see what's going on. What do you need help with? There's a lot of guys that send us videos, especially right now, right? They send us videos. What should I be doing? What should I be improving on? And we send them a little program or some feedback, or let's work on this today. Let's do this today. So we're still in communication with a lot of these kids. It's a matter of, we feel that testing kids monthly does motivate them to, I want to improve my numbers. I want to make sure I'm getting stronger. I want to make sure I'm getting faster. But during practice too, we do these things. We do these simple tasks that how do I get my exit velo higher? How do I get faster? How do I run the 60 better? Just technique stuff. A lot of guys when they run the 60, they don't necessarily know how to run the 60, right? Hands are flying everywhere, proper technique, that sort of thing, right? We want to make sure that guys have the right techniques before they actually do the measurable. But those are some of the things that we do. We have a list of about 15 different measurables that we do test each month, and we follow it. Kids follow it. We send it out to everybody to make sure they're on the same program. And at the end of the day, if you're not getting stronger and faster, that's what this game's about: being athletic, being stronger, being faster. And so we try to teach the kids at a young age. Even at 14, we have kids at 14U lifting. They're showing us what they're doing. So it becomes a routine, not just something that we nag them to do. And if you can get kids to do that at a young age, I feel like they're going to become successful. They're going to learn how to make it to the next level. Because when you get to the next level, it's not easy.
Yeah, I think those measurables are huge, especially with everything going to analytics now, and having the ability to get those measurables as often as you can to see that growth and progression. I think that's important, especially on the exposure side. I know you mentioned you guys do your trip at the end of the year for those seniors and stuff. What other pieces are you guys doing on the exposure side to get these guys, whether it's in front of coaches or on an NCSA kind of platform? What else are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we have guys actually with NCSA as well. We also use, you guys heard of Field Level?
Yep. We
use Field Level a lot. So what we do is take videos of kids. It doesn't have to be a full in-length video. It might just take, I'll reach out to a coach, or a coach will reach out to me. Can I see this guy hit? Just give me a 30-second video of him hitting. So we'll go to practice. We'll warm up, do our thing, and then I'll just take a video of him hitting, and I'll send it over, that sort of thing. But we focused on Field Level, NCSA, our recruiting trips. I'm constantly on the phone with coaches daily, especially now during this time of the year, especially with everything going on. We do get a lot of guys commit in October and November, which is great. But then there's still guys, and those guys are usually the guys that are like the top guys, the NCAD ones, the top JUCOs. Those guys, not many programs have problems with those guys, in a sense, right? We want to help the guys as well that are maybe NCAD 2 or NAIA or a lower JUCO, right? How do we get those guys to school? And so we really bear down on the videos. Really bear down on their measurables. If you have your measurables up and you can prove it, then there's no problem. We can't just send videos to schools with numbers that they don't want to see, right? So we really focus in the winter on getting them stronger and faster. And we tell the parents and kids, why should we send something in October and November when you're not ready? Maybe March, April, you get stronger and faster, your numbers go up a little bit. All right, let's make another video here and send it out and see what happens. Some guys think that's too late or not, but in the past, it's never been too late. If you look at our alumni list, like it's pretty big. Yeah. And we've been doing this for a long time, that we want to give guys the best fit. And the best fit is not necessarily the NCAA D1. Right. It's not a top school, so some of these guys. For instance, we had a guy this year recently just commit about 2 weeks ago to Johnson County in Kansas, top 10 JUCO in the nation. Oh yeah. But he was, but he had every school really in the nation looking at him, and he didn't know what he wanted to do. So he's worked really hard. He's put on about 15 pounds of muscle, and we've had a lot of good chats with his parents and with the kid. What do you want to do here? And he finally came to the decision that, yeah, I want to go JUCO. So sometimes it takes kids a while to realize. You think at 18 you know what you want, but some of these kids don't know what they want.
Yep.
So we have many chats, and at
That
first you want.
JUCO route is perfect for those guys. I mean, it gives you the flexibility to, hey, let's go figure it out for a year and then make your choice, or go figure it out for 2 years before you jump in. Then you're in a situation where you're not playing and you're not advancing and progressing from there. That, I mean, we talk about it all the time. That JUCO route is not a bad route.
It's not at all. And I try to tell guys that. Like, I went the JUCO route myself. 2 years at school in Illinois, then I went to an NI in Iowa. Best 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
And some guys, they might get the opportunity to play at a top D1 or whatnot, and great for them. But what's the best fit for the kid? Is the kid the worst thing I hate to see is kids going to school. They work really hard. We work really hard to help them get a school that's best for them, and they go there, they don't like it, and they come home at Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever it is, right? And that's the worst part. You don't want to hear that. So that's why we do our due diligence, and we make sure that kids are ready. If kids aren't ready to go to school in October, November, they're not sure what they want to do. Well, we still have the winter. We still have the winter.
Landon,
And
that situation with kids, I mean, familiar at UIndy, where how often do you have a kid that comes in and then leaves, at winter break or whatever, and goes back home? Is that all on the kid, or is it, something happening at the university? What kind of triggers that?
Usually it's could be a playing time thing, could be just missing home in general. Some of them, we actually have had kids, we get a lot of kids from out of state, out of the country even, and they just don't realize that when you're, 6, 7, 8 hours away, you're there, and it's a huge commitment, and our school's not very easy. And they know that coming in, and, sometimes the education part just isn't for them, and they want to go back, and they have a farm back home, or they got, other obligations back home that they feel is more important, or it could be a family, situation. But if there's a kid that, just doesn't love it and has an issue, we've set kids up at other colleges, to help them out, because, that's our job. Our job is, as coaches, is to get them an education, get them to a place that's best. And there was one kid, my first year, who transferred to Rio Grande. He actually went to my alma mater, and had a great year. Ended up being the homecoming king that next semester. Like, just fell right into exactly what we wanted. He got closer to home. Great situation. That happens every once in a while. It's not always something that they're not unhappy. It could be just a situation where they just don't love the game anymore, or education needs to be something they're going to in the future. Something as little as that. But we make sure that they're comfortable and they're happy. That's the main thing.
That's true. That's true too, because here in Canada, we have a lot of guys that they want to go south. They want to go to Florida. They want to go to Arizona. They want to do all that. And sometimes it's not realistic, right? It's not realistic for a kid in Canada, unless you're a top guy, that you're going to go to these schools. So the Midwest is great. Midwest has a lot of schools that fit what these kids are coming from. Small towns, the team, the family within the team, the coaches. So I really talk to the coaches before I send a kid to a school. I really get to know the coach. I make sure the kid talks to the coach like numerous times before anything happens. I'm sure the coaches do that as well. You don't want to bring a kid here that's not ready. And like Landon said too, like it just may not be a good fit, and you help kids get to their next good fit, and it might be something great for them, and then they can excel. They can enjoy their 4 years instead of rather coming home, and that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing for us. So
There's another thing too. I mean, that a lot of coaches, they talk about and stuff, but we don't really recruit arms from the South, because how warm is it during our season?
exactly.
Like 30 degrees. I'd rather have a kid that's from around here, from Canada. He's pitching in, when it's winter in, May up there. So, he's got snow falling in his season all the time, and he knows what's going on. He knows what to expect. You bring a guy from Florida, he's used to 80-degree weather every single weekend, and he's pitching it's 45, and we got shorts on. He's bundled up. So those little things, they matter a little bit too with the recruiting process as well. But they don't realize that either.
No, for sure, and it's true, 100% true.
Jeremy, moving into the 2020 summer for you guys, how are you guys going to keep your players ready for that June, July start if we're able to play, assuming we're able to play? I know this week we got our first email from a Canadian team that said, hey, we just don't know that we're going to be able to make it to the June 25 to 28 event. We may have to just cancel our full year because our spring is going to get canceled and we're not going to be able to get these guys ready to compete in time.
Well, the main thing, I think that when the season, I'm hopeful. First of all, I'm hopeful that we're going to start a later season, maybe a shortened season. What we're doing right now is keeping guys in shape, doing it remotely a little bit, talking to kids individually, helping them get through what they need to do on a daily basis. When we do get the call that, yeah, we're going to start in June, or we're going to start in mid-June, or we're going to start in late May, or whatever it is, right? I feel it's important that we do have a couple of weeks at least to get these guys situated. We can't just jump into games.
And I think you can jump into games, but a modified game situation.
Modified, exactly.
Yeah, you're saying, hey, look, guys, your arm, even if you're ready and you've been working out, we're not game ready and game worked out. Let's go out, throw 2 or 3 innings a guy. If we're done after 6 innings instead of playing 7, let's go 6 innings this game, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect example, and that's something that as a league we have to come to a decision to, and what's best for the kids. As coaches here coaching each team, we've got to have smaller pitch counts, guys in games, getting reps, getting back into game shape, getting ready for those tournaments. I feel that we can do it. I really hope that we can. It's just a matter of monitoring every kid, making sure kids are healthy. How do you feel today? What can we do in between starts, in between games? What are we doing during the week to prepare for the weekend, that sort of thing? But at the end of the day, it does come down to the league and what we can do to benefit the kids. And that's the main thing at the end of the day, right? How are we going to keep these kids healthy? And we all want to play games. We all want to do that, and I want to as bad as anybody else. But as a league, how are we going to make sure that the kids stay healthy? And as coaches, and for every organization out there, how are we going to maximize each kid, but also monitoring their health as the main factor, right? Especially when you go to these tournaments, we want to be ready for your tournaments, right? You got to play to win your national championships. It's not easy.
You're 8 or 9 games deep,
right? And how are we going to do that in July, right? So we want to make sure that we ramp up to that. And if the league here, the CPBL league, if we play in June, if we can have shortened games building up to that, that'd be perfect. That'd be ideal. And I think that we all have guys that are baseball smart here. We all understand what's going on. It's not just us, it's everybody, right? So how can we do this? And shorten season, shortening games, ramping guys up until we get to your tournament so we're ready to compete is the ultimate goal.
Players that have extremely good pre and post throwing routines as well will benefit from this. Guys that don't, they're going to end up getting hurt. That's just the nature of the beast. You can't go out there and just chuck the ball around and you haven't picked up a ball in a week. It's just not going to work.
No.
So having those plans is going to help a ton.
And that's what we have right now too, especially with our pitching coordinator. We've sent out a lot of routines for our players, arm care, pre, post, getting our long toss in, because right now it's not bad. It's about 10 degrees here in Canada. Not great, but we can still get outside, right, and throw the ball around.
We're getting a 70-degree day here today.
I know, which is amazing, right? But like we we still have those plans in place. Guys are still staying in shape, getting their long toss in, getting their lifts in, hitting off a tee, playing catch, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes to be ready. We're not just sitting around here. We understand everybody's going through the same thing. So what are we doing right now to separate ourselves? And I think everybody's doing the same thing right now. We're just trying to get out there, stay ready. We're going to be ready whenever we get the call to begin. But we're monitoring all our guys. We're making sure that guys are staying in shape. And like you said, Landon, the pre and post, that's very important. And we're taking full advantage of that right now too. So
yeah, you need to tell your guys too that rice buckets or grip strength is a direct correlation to exit velocity, command, and spin rate. So that's all things that everyone wants to hear. So keep doing that. It'll be legit.
I know. I remember those rice buckets back in the day.
All right, Jeremy, I appreciate you coming on with us. Hopefully we get a chance to get on the field this summer, and look forward to having you guys. I know we always like having you guys in those nationals. It creates a fun atmosphere for everybody, and hopefully we can get there again.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.